Welcome back, everybody, to the winners bracket final for the International 5 China Qualifiers. We're back with the panel before Game 2 kicks off in for Ehome CDEC. It was pretty one-sided, I think we can say.
That was an understatement.
Yeah.
Pretty one-sided.
Yeah. I know we were discussing lanes in the break as well and a couple of other picks. I actually want to discuss the bans because I was actually really enjoying the conversation that was going on. The Undying Draw were the first two bans that came out from Ehome. Did that cripple CDEC, really?
I don't know if it crippled them. I mean, this is a personal opinion of mine. Like, I don't feel like Undying is that strong. I do think Drow is insanely strong. Maybe not Visage so much that you have to ban it, but we're talking about the Drow and the Undying together. I think the way that they picked last game actually hurt them maybe a little bit more than they banned, because they first pick a Shaker, right? Like, Shaker is a very good hero in a lot of circumstances, but he's mostly seen as a defensive posturing hero. You can help save from, like, roaming in the early game, your mid game if you get a good blink timing. It's very strong. But as a laner, unless you get a good fissure block in the early game, he doesn't really contribute much. And I felt like Witch Doctor was also kind of in the same boat, and that was the third pick from CDEC. So very early on, you already saw two support heroes that, if they're together, yeah, it's a little bit of a threat, but then they also lane them the entire map apart. So maybe not the bans as much as what they picked early on.
It just allowed them to go kind of greedy with that fourth and fifth pick Storm-like, and they're like, well, what's an Earthshaker and Witch Doctor going to do to pressure us? You could theoretically roam the Earthshaker Witch Doctor, gank mid, and we talked about, like, that's probably what they should have done, even though they're not like a traditional ganking duo, but it felt like they had no answer to those two last picks from Ehome.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I found it kind of funny though, like, you get a Witch Doctor as well as a Juggernaut together, like, shouldn't you have at least taken one tower with this with just the start?
But their lanes were so bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They were so bad. How do you push when your lanes are that bad? The Spear Breaker was level 3 and the clock was 6.
But that's it. It feels like for like the first time in the draft, like CDEC has really lost their way. Like, they pick these two heroes and it's like it's going to work for doing this really nicely, but doesn't work with anything else which they've got on the map.
Well, I think he said something during the break as well that was, I actually agree with fully, is they could have actually either defensively tri-laned or just roamed together with the two supports on the side of CDEC, and it would have, no matter what, been a better circumstance, because even if you end up in a 1v1 Jug vs. Clock, that hero's farm was already contested. Even when you had the Witch Doctor down there, they could have potentially killed CTY. Killing a Storm is not that hard with a double raise and 2 stuns. Like, he just flops over. And they didn't anticipate the roaming from Ehome at all, so I don't know.
Well, we're going to get into our draft for game number 2. Would you believe it? Undying Draw Ranger banned out by CDEC in the first 2. And RTK decides to focus on something else. Like, I think this is the first time I've at least seen it. A Broodmother banned out in the first 2.
Yep.
And he'll be banned out next to the Clockwork. So really focusing on that off lane of CDEC.
Yeah, the Brood is something they banned out second stage in game 1, and I think it's sometimes it has been a go-to for CDEC when they feel under pressure and they want to have that kind of like surprise factor. So maybe something Ehome is saying, well, they banned out the second stage last game. They may consider first 2 picking it or second picking it here, and we just don't want to deal with it. It's kind of has that like X factor where you have to put so much focus on your draft and dealing with just one hero. So they say, look, let's just take it out. They have first pick, so they have complete control over what's going to be going into their hands and what gets left for CDEC.
I don't know, though. In the first phase, banning out the Brood, I feel that's one of those heroes that you ban in the second phase if you don't want to get cheesed. But I also think that they would realize that. Like, Ehome have to know, if we give away a Brood in the first or second pick, we have ample time to deal with that hero sufficiently. Like, you have Axe, you have Darkseer, you have Tidehunter. There's, like, a multitude of things you can land against it and not have to commit that much in your draft. But I feel if it's a second phase pick, it's harder to deal with. So if you open Rubik Shaker, for example, as CDEC have here, then the Brood becomes a little bit more annoying, because even if you have Feybolt and Shaker, both those supports are going to probably have to dedicate some time. Yeah. And then you might have to alter your plan.
And when we see a Brood, we've seen that before from other teams. It was actually something that started happening in quite a few of the games in the playoffs of the Summit. Teams started first phase banning Brood. I think it was every single time it was the second pick team that banned it, because the first pick team will get it as the last pick in the first phase, and then you can ban counters. Like, your approach to dealing with Brood as a drafter, I think, is that you always consider it a problem if the enemy team has the last pick of the given phase. That's the team that doesn't have the last pick of the given phase is the one that wants to ban it. So I'm a little bit surprised to see it out of Ehome too. I think they could have managed.
I think the problem. I mean, I think they can manage. It's just it's like why do you have to change? You have to change your draft to deal with a certain hero. And they're saying if you're not against the Brood, you can draft to your own strength. You don't have to, like, you see an Earthshaker Rubik, you're not thinking, oh, we have to counter these 2 picks. Even if you see like a Shadow Fiend, you're not thinking we have to counter Shadow Fiend without draft. It's just a standard pick. You see a Brood, suddenly you're forced into picking an Axe, a Darkseer. Maybe here they didn't want to be running. And I think that's where Ehome say we can draft to our own strengths and our own playstyle. But if they get a Brood, maybe we get taken out of our comfort zone.
You know what would be a really good pick for Ehome right now? Brood.
That's what I was just thinking. Really? But I mean,
I mean, if it was in the
No.
pool, CDEC might not have picked that. I don't remember seeing CDEC picking Brood in the first phase ever.
no one really
I'm
does.
not sure.
That's the
In this
thing.
tournament, it was just ignored almost. But
Yeah.
it could. I mean, that could have been fun if that happened. All right, they're gonna get the gyro, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Ehome banning out the Shadow Fiend, unless if they want to just let CTY play his lane. He has tons of experience on this matchup. It's one of the historic Dota 1 very favored matchups in the mid lane. CTY has played for a very long time. Even though he's still a young player, he broke into the scene like super early. I want to say he was like 14 or something when he started playing his first competitive matches, similar to Kuroki. And Shadow Fiend Quap was played back then even a hell of a lot. So
Yeah.
Quap is on the has the advantage, and CTY is really good at lane mechanics, like Gods was talking about. So he ain't scared.
Yeah, that matchup is actually, I think, even more Queen favored now than it used to be. Even though they buff Shadow Fiend a tiny bit, I think the level 3 for the Queen is a lot stronger than it was prior to receiving those buffs. I wouldn't even be surprised to see CDEC actually pick a Juggernaut again here. I think it matches up well against the given carry right now that Ehome has. And plus, when you have Shaker Rubik, it's a very low damage support duo, so you kind of want something that can fully commit for kills. I don't think they might not pick it like third, but maybe fourth or fifth pick.
I'm thinking Storm Lifestealer for CDEC, maybe. They did play Lifestealer against Gyro, against HGT. They won the game. It was a very close game, but I think Lifestealer was actually a fine pick in that game. He also sets up fairly well with Rubik Shaker in the lane. If you have Telekinesis, Rubik alone can set up an open wounds, and then you can fissure block off. If the offlaner for Ehome doesn't have any sort of blink, it's a free kill. So that's a possibility. The Storm, I think, has a better matchup against Quap than SF does, just in an isolated one-on-one. I think Storm does a bit better. It's not a winning matchup, but he just needs to get level 6, and then all of a sudden you can actually very easily gank his lane with a Shaker Fissure, for example, and
You think it does better than SF, even if the SF gets a babysit for like 2 or 3 waves?
Yeah.
No, then it's definitely different.
I
Yeah.
could see
I said
SF
just
being
in
a
isolation.
fine. I think SF for CDEC is fine. Like if they want to go with their comfort pick, they pick SF third or fourth, because that's just it's not about just about the 1v1 matchup against Quap, because they have Earthshaker to sit behind and help the lane out. They have Rubik who can level and, like you say, babysit the lane. So I think SF is a fine pick. They'll have to play around it because of the mismatch versus Queen of Pain, but it's very easy to fit in if they want to go for Shiki's, to me, his best hero.
They're definitely playing into Ehome's hand then. It's obvious they're just letting him have it.
Oh,
right?
Ehome are saying, take the Shadow Fiend if you want. They're going to get aggressive left
This
track.
is nice.
Yeah.
In my opinion, still an undervalued pick in this tournament. It's been picked on occasion. I feel like it's really, really good as a core right now in this version. I think the American qualifier has favored it a lot more than the Chinese. I didn't get to see a lot of the games, but I feel like every single game I glanced over at, there was a core Lesh.
There were a lot of them, yeah, that's true.
It is really good. It's great. It's kind of the Lesh Gyro matchup is very interesting because if you come up close, you've generally got like Edict versus Rocket Barrage and who comes out on top really. But Lesh in mid range easily wins that matchup. You can just lightning spam, you can split Earth, and then if you have an advantage, you just force in with your ult and take him out. So generally very good core against short range or melee cores.
Yeah, the other possibility is mid Lesh as well. Everyone is maxing.
Oh yeah, I think
stun
he will
lightning
go
as
mid.
well.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought you just meant like he would be farming position, but yeah, you said core, so I guess it doesn't dictate one lane or the other.
But it's another, like, that's a good point. It's another nice thing about him is that he works in aggressive trial lanes. He works mid. He works safe lane. He's really good for staying alone in the safe lane. So if you want to move your supports, if he has a 1 level advantage on the off laner, he crushes him. Like, pretty much no one has a matchup apart from Brood. And, well, that allows CDEC's supports to roam if it is a safe lane Lesh. And if it's mid, you just give him a little bit of an advantage, and I think you're fine. Darkseer.
I think it's good, actually. I think it's very good. Against these two supports, unless you, like, for instance, if CDEC decided to run a safe lane, and maybe Lesh core or mid, doesn't really matter, like 1 or 2, then Darkseer, I think, is very good at punishing that. If the Rubik and the Shaker ever decide to rotate, assuming CDEC don't offlane Shaker, which I guess is still a possibility, I think it's a good punish. I think he's very good against low damage early game supports.
But picking it this early on, like now you're showing up all your 3 cores right now.
But the
Ehome.
I think it doesn't really matter to pick the Darkseer now, even in regards to what you said, just because there's already a Rubik out. So potentially CDEC picks, one more support if the Shaker's offlane. And I mean, yeah, there's a couple of heroes that might be able to deal with him sufficiently, but there's not many supports in the pool who can solo isolate a Darkseer.
Yeah. I'm actually really scared, though, looking at Ehome's team fight. Like, that's crazy. If you add something like an SK, a Disruptor, and Enigma onto all of this, then CDEC could find themselves being wiped with just only 1 initiation. Doesn't matter how far ahead you are.
Disruptor is really good for Ehome. Out of all the ones you mentioned, I think it's the best. The vacuum into Sand King stun is a tested combo, but it's not it's difficult to pull off. I feel like teams have got a lot better at playing against Darkseer than all those highlight clips you see from back in the day where it's like a 4 or 5-man vacuum into Sand King stun. It's like, that doesn't really happen anymore. And teams farm faster, they get BKBs earlier, which is a great counter to Darkseer as well. So Disruptor just solves a lot of problems for Ehome right now, I think. And they can run greedy supports. I feel like they don't need some super early aggression or really powerful laners because, once again, CDEC's draft seems like it's fairly obvious what they want to do. And their supports aren't the best in the world either at early aggression. So, all right, Lion M Lion.
I think the Disruptor pick is slightly weakened just by the Jug.
The Jug was. I think they wanted Disruptor actually.
Yeah, I think it would have been
this
amazing.
Juggernaut made them pick Lion.
I think the other thing, the lineup actually lacks a good initiation until you have like a Blink Vacuum. But even going for a pickoff, you don't want to lead with a Blink Vacuum there. You don't actually have that initiation unless Queen of Pain farms a Scythe of Vice really fast. But Lion gives them that mid-game pickoff potential, which this lineup completely is lacking until it's picked up. And Disruptor doesn't really give you that either. If you're just entirely relying on like a glimpse into a kinetic field, it's not reliable against a Blade Through from a Juggernaut. You need vision. It's not going to be something that reliable way of finding a kill on the map.
I also feel like we're kind of maybe not respecting the power of a Surge on a support like Lion. Just being able to Surge in from smoke and just get an instant disable on a hero like Jug and just boom, kill him. Might not even need a blink, with the burst damage of a Queen and a Gyro.
But that requires Darkseer to be there, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you
limits
could
your
rotate
flexibility quite a bit.
Yeah, you could rotate a Lion +1 and just, like, Surge gank the lane,
You mean Darkseer's lane?
Yeah, Darkseer's lane, not the other lane.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. They're still scared of the Disruptor, though. They are going to ban it, and Ehome are like, well, I don't know why they actually banned Shadow Fiend. I don't think CDEC were interested. It seems more like an empty ban to me. That would have...
Maybe thinking the Earthshaker goes offlane and then Rubik Lesh support. And you do like Shadow Fiend mid with Rubik Lesh roaming.
I guess I feel like that's not that scary for Ehome, though. Or maybe it's just a way of securing, okay, if you guys want to try to run an aggressive tri lane, you're not going to have a Shadow Fiend farming mid at the same time. But they had a Quap in that matchup. I don't know. This seems a little weird of a ban. The Disruptor ban makes a lot of sense. Also sets them up for their profit that they wanted to run. Disruptor is a great hero against that. But either way, I don't know if Ehome actually... Okay. They're going to get Witch Dock.
A bit more on the greedy side as far as supports go, but I think that they saw the Earthshaker and just think, well, we're not going to get pressured too much in the lane, so they feel like they can get away with something like that.
Yeah, I also agree. I think that the laning phase from CDEC is going to be maybe a little bit lackluster, like it was in the last game. I just kind of get this feeling that this Witch Doctor at some point is going to get like up to Aghanims, and then you're going to have two supports on the side of CDEC, and they're like, we can't really do anything about this.
And even if the Earthshaker, it's not like you're expecting a blink before like 25, 30 minutes. That just doesn't happen. Witch Doctor is a hero who's naturally going to find more farm.
I also feel because they have Queen and Gyro that we could potentially be seeing one of those roles where the Witch Doctor is actually transitioned into more of a farming hero, where they like to leave him on lanes and get like the early point booster, the Ogre Club, just tank up, and then you can actually sit there and channel, and you just can't kill it.
So you guys are thinking right now that the game will be taken by Ehome? Judging by your looks at the draft?
I like Ehome's draft better, but I don't think that CDEC is necessarily out of it. Furion can add a lot of chaos to the early game just during the laning phase, and I think that's kind of why they picked it. Because if you look at their support duo of the Rubik and the Shaker, it's low damage, but you can also assist any lane at any given time, and that could be all the edge they need to kind of make it to the mid game, get your split push going, and try to take it from there.
All right, well, let's see what happens. Gods, any last thoughts before we leave you?
I like Ehome's draft a lot better myself. I think the Prophet, as Drasko said, this is the X factor. This is the hero that has to get a lot done and just cause all kinds of problems for Ehome. Put them out of their comfort zone, or Ehome are going to take this one, I think.
Well, let's see what happens as we get to go into the games in, as Ehome do have the one-game advantage up against CDEC, and they are one victory away from having a ticket booked for Seattle. And, of course, coming back tomorrow to play the best-of-5 grand final without having to play the best-of-3 beforehand, too, which is another advantage you get from playing this series.
Yeah, wild card for me for Ehome in this game. They're talking a lot about the Prophet, which I definitely agree with. Is ROTK going to show up on Darkseer, is my question. His last performance in the tournament was lackluster, I think is fair to say. I think he was really disappointed with his performance in the game as well, so he might really bring his A game for this game. It's also the most important game they've played in the whole tournament, so it's not an easy Darkseer game, I think, in that lane. If they do run a Rubik plus Shaker in that safe lane at some point, then they might just start with a Shaker off lane like I talked about, just Fissure block the first wave and rotate him top. It's really difficult for Darkseer. He can get telekinesis, he gets Fissure blocked off, and he gets killed by Jugger. And you kind of have to skill Ion Shell level 1 on Darkseer. If you skill Surge first, you have no lane pressure.
Yep.
Then you just hold the lane still, and you never get to distort the equilibrium. And he's going to have to do that in order to gain anything from this lane. And it looks like this time around, CDEC have learned their lesson about the dual lane off-lane shaker, at least. This time they're not interested in that. He's quickly moving either to support a little bit in the mid lane from the beginning or to harass the Darkseer. I would personally like to just see him go top right away.
Also to note something else which did end up happening is, well, they're really trying to get
skilled
into RTK.
Surge.
He's been picked up, thrown down while the Surge is available. Prophet TP's in, but he got body popped up by Aggressive. That buys the time for the last 2 attacks to arrive. And CDEC will spill first blood on ROTK.
And it cost them nothing. And they forced him to skill Surge, which is actually... I think that was... I understand where he was coming from, skilling Surge there. He saw the Rubik and Jugger running in, and he could have maybe just skilled Surge and just run away from the spin after telekinesis, but wasn't ready for the Prophet TP, which I think was actually a really great move here from CDEC to see the opening with porting in.
It's funny, though, because Ehome should have known the Prophet had a TP. Those Sentry wards went down, or the Observer wards went down inside the Radiant jungle before, like... before even the 1 minute mark countdown. And what, they're going to go again. RTK picked up. The fissure is here. It's going to happen all over again. The fissure, well, it flies out. I don't know. I'm assuming it's above him. But RTK will salve up and survive. Wait for it. Wait for it. Boom!
And he walks through it.
This guy is a genius.
That... CDEC are not going to be happy about that. That was actually a fairly easy kill. I think the fissure doesn't even need to stun him. It just needs to block him off. So if they miss that, they can still just run him down above the fissure, I think. But maybe
this could
just a little bit of
mistiming.
timing.
Like if he plays this right, you got 2 minutes, but you've also got the TP available. Lanham's going to come in, the paralyzing cast to go, follow-up stun, and with the Hex already, so Lanham's already got that level 2. They need more damage, the misses uphill, and none of them missing, and Lanham with the last attack, it's going to be enough. They bring down Prophet, and the RNG this has been prayed to for Ehome. They get the one back. Now maybe DDC. He will go down. So Split Earth is able to connect, and they're going in even further here. Shikik with that Edict going after Lanham, and he's got enough. The stun and TP up. Prophet comes in to just leech a little bit of the experience out of this one. The scream's there, and he just survives. Down what looks to be 60 HP. The Shadow Strike, it's enough.
He needs to tango. Oh wow! They weren't sure.
Yeah, they really weren't sure. XZ stopped his deny attack.
Yeah.
I think he also realized his attack wouldn't have been enough.
He would have denied him for sure. He had 25 health, I think. Yeah. He could have almost killed him twice with that attack. That didn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Is it a level 1 or a level 2 Shadow Strike? It should be a level 1.
It's level 2. I think
level 2.
So the way they need to keep track of that is after they got the kill, or all the kills there, which was a great play again by CDEC with the TPs here, or TP from Prophet, and Lesh landed every single spell there, but after the kill, they actually get to see how much damage the Shadow Strike deals. I think Shiki was bottling up, and he saw the amount of damage he took, and they should have known that they could just deny him. It's a little unfortunate. It's not the end of the world. Quap was dead, so she gets gold but no experience.
Yep.
But still, they could have for sure avoided that, either by, I don't know if he could have made the tango play. I don't think so. So they did need to deny him there. But
okay.
They can still feel happy about that exchange.
Okay, after this gank in the mid, there's a smoke which wasn't scouted out. He smoked on the high ground, and you've already had the Edict being used. The blink away, however, leaves Lanham stranded on the wrong side of the river. The fissure will arrive, and he's got no way out of here. The Prophet, once again, TPing in. Very, very, like, because he was my thought. He was my next thought. What are we really getting out from this Prophet? He's level 3, but most of this, like, he helped out with the kill on the top. Definitely. Gave away his life near the Ancients because he was also scouted out by Witch Doctor that he was trying to stack. And then you've got the other factor, which is the fact that he hasn't spent much time in the bottom lane at all. Most of the levels he's got was received by moving around the lanes and being there when the last hit happened on the kill.
It's kind of reminding me of some of the super aggression we've seen from Bulldog's Prophet in the past. In this game, playing the teleport style, or actually rather, it's actually more similar to Ohio at TI3, where it also felt like they just played super aggressive early on with the teleport. And if you can pull it off like this, it's definitely worth it. He isn't even really paying much in the bottom lane. This tower hasn't really taken any damage, even though he's been absent 3 times in a row. He's going to get experience behind the tower now. There's even another wave coming his way, I think, so he's going to get level 4, but it's almost 5 here.
His lack of presence still means that Jaro is doing well in CS.
Yeah. But he would anyway. That's the thing.
That's true,
I don't think, like, if Prophet stays in this lane and one of the Ehome supports are down here, Gyro is going to have maybe 3 or 4 CS less. And that is not worth staying for compared to making 3 kills around the map.
Is it worthwhile now for Ehome to try and move with the Lion and the Witch Doctor again towards the mid, now that Queen of Pain's approaching level 6? So you're going to have, I'm not going to say Sonic Wave, maybe when she hits level 7, and got a little bit more damage up her sleeve. But like looking for a kill
They could
on
easily
Chick.
kill Lesh with level 6 Quap. For sure.
But that's still only going to be like a level 3 Scream as opposed to going for the Sonic Wave. Like if we had a double null Talisman, then maybe on the
Wait,
Quap.
what? Why didn't he skill ult?
Hmm?
He didn't skill ult.
Yeah, he's going for the 3-point Scream.
This was the build that most players were using in the past. I want to say a year and a half ago when Quap was played. But Sonic Wave has been buffed in a big way. Way bigger AoE, more damage. Even like it was nerfed in damage but turned into pure. And on all levels, it still deals more damage now than the old Magic one did.
But the primary reason for
So-
doing that in the past was the fact you just didn't have a mana pool to support the Sonic Wave and Scream together.
Oh.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. With the call down, they bring down the Prophet once again into the Omni Slash. Lanham helping to take it up quickly into the Hex. Aggressive, has no mana available, but it won't stop him from doing the physical damage. Or like
Oh, haste
lightning on the
again
strike.
on Lesh.
Wow, it's just his day. As everyone's back though, so you got a Prophet for a Lion, and the Leshrac rotates down. In fact, everyone rotates down. There's no one on top lane from either team.
That's easily worth it for Ehome, this trade-off. In the meantime, Quap is farming in the mid.
Prophet came down. Very aggressive TP, but that means he's also very close. Now this flat cannon attack coming from the Gyro in the trees. There's no cooldown available, but aggressive drop very low because of the attacks that are there. Lamb trying to juke out these Treants, staying alive around the town. Not going to happen. The last attack is there from the Prophet, but the cost is high. It's the Leshrac who ended up dying. ROTK surging himself forward, trying to find Garda, successful at doing so, backing it back. So he's trying to bring him in range of, okay, there's no mana for a Rocket Barrage by the looks of it. So they just do it the old-fashioned way with just attack, attack, attack. And they bring down the Rubik.
He skills Vacuum?
Level 1 Vacuum.
That's okay. I thought he was going to skill Wall, but Ehome rocking the old classic
he would have had the
builds.
choice. Like when the Leshrac died, he probably cracked level 6.
Yeah.
So he would have had the choice of, well, I can slow him down and get him in range of the Gyro.
Yeah, he did get the Vacuum off, which is great. I'm 100% sure Rubik was dead anyway, and I don't know if he skilled it for that exact kill or not, but regardless, he's looking to level up Vacuum before Wall.
I don't know if it was ROTK that actually played the Darks here in the game that we cast on the Yasha stream. But we did end up having, before we actually got level 2 Wall up, we ended up having 3 points up in the Vacuum, using it more as a disabler. Actually, it was Energy Pacemaker that were doing it. And they were using it to control, so you actually use it as like a chain stun combo.
Yeah, well, you're saying 3 points in Vacuum before level 1 Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old classic build, right, where you get Wall on level 10 and 11. But as of late, with the much better level 1 Wall, most Darkseers have started favoring getting that on level 6, or maybe level, well, yeah, I guess level 6 in almost every single case. That's why I'm a little surprised by it, but in some cases, it's definitely better to level up the Vacuum for the setup as DDC. Wow, he's actually gonna die. What a nice kill.
He just came to try and deny that rune. It was not for nothing else, but with the trees being summoned on the high ground, Prophet got the vision, just followed up with the Sprout.
That's a highlight right there. It's always funny when Prophet sets up kills like that with Treant blocks. I'm a big fan of like block plays in general. I feel like they're some of the coolest mechanical displays you can do in the game. So that was a pleasure to watch with a little bit of minimum lag, but I can still appreciate it.
Wonderful.
So yeah, Quap did. I believe CTY did skill ult on level 7 because I remember seeing him have it available up there, and he just cracked 8. So he's doing like a hybrid build. The old Quap build was 2-1-4, and then you got Sonic Wave on level 9. But I just think as of late, the way players lane and how much solo kill potential you have, for me, it's very situational not getting ult level 6. I don't know if it changed anything in this game because I don't think he had any solo kill opening, and maybe that was the idea. I can't go for a kill. I'll just get another point and Scream so I can push a bit faster, get the rune, and level 7 I'll just get my ult. So anyway.
At least have that harassment factor. They're going towards the mid, and CTY bleeds away. 11 HP he was down to. The paralyzing cast going to be there in time. It looks like Nature's Prophet was able to get his attack off.
I think he died to Wrath of Nature, didn't he?
I think the Wrath of Nature connected on him beforehand.
Connected
we were late getting to that, but it was.
Yeah.
I actually believe it was just the last attack that came
That
out
was a
from XC.
really important TP then, because else that was a complete waste. He had a regen on Quap that he popped while he died. So that would have been a full HP CTY that might have had the potential to turn if Prophet fails that play. And Yep, they get away with it. He's been doing a hell of a lot of work this game on that Nature's Prophet.
Well, is the chaos factor you're asking for, and
Yeah,
and
it's
doing a pretty
definitely-
good job of it. Like initially, I was wondering, like, is it worth it? Like, is he finding the levels? Like, what have you sacrificed on the safe lane? But the Juggernaut and the Gyro are pretty much the same net worth, let alone same CS, with a little bit of an advantage going to the CS of the Gyro. But Leshrac is getting involved in so many kills. The Juggernaut, yeah, CDEC's got a lot of momentum on their course.
It's very important for CDEC, actually, that this Leshrac gets good farm in the early game, because Ehome's lineup has so much spell burst that if Lesh doesn't get health this game, he just disappears every fight. You finger and Sonic Wave, he's dead if he doesn't have items, right? But he's getting there, so I'm not sure what this staff is for. If he's gonna build
Yules or Bloodstone, like yes,
it's probably Yules. It's got to be, right? There's no other. Else, it's a weird build-up. If you wanted to get something like, if you wanted to get first, what else would be? Force Staff is not good.
Smoke's going to break Lanham. Could get the double stun, but he gets picked up first by Garda. The cooldown's on the way, and the Darkseer Wall's there too, trying to back Shiki back into it, in with the Death Ward, but there's so much damage arriving from Aggressive, but is it going to be enough? The Death Ward rips through him. They lose their 2 big cores for the price of a Lion. Witch Doctor got both of them as well.
That was very, very close. Almost got 2 kills. Lesh there with a beautiful stun, but I think he didn't have the confidence to go in with his ult, and I think he had to do it. He was dead anyway. He tried to pull back a little bit and maybe buy time to cast Lightning again. He didn't use, that's a good point, he didn't use his double damage or his bottle at all. A little bit surprising. I think he had a shot of that, but we'll see it here.
Let's see it again.
So they telekinesis. This sets up for a splitter. I think it hits all 3. That's a really good position. There's the lightning, and then he starts moving back. He gets vacuumed into the wall. They're already going on him. If he commits in here, he might be able to kill DDC with a DD rune, or if he hits Gyro once with the DD, it's a kill here for Aggressive in the end, and maybe this fight is different. And Aggressive didn't get ulti off. He used the spin, and not getting off an Omni Slash there cost him a lot. He had 2 potential kills, so a little bit of a misplay from CDEC, but also it's hard to keep calm when you run 2 smokes into each other like that. That was just Ehome were better prepared, it seemed.
Yeah. So CDEC were preparing to gank on top of the Tier 1 tower. That's why the supports weren't also 100% there. The only reason why they had space and some time to breathe and think was just because of the Rubik pick. And then the Leshrac stun follow-up. Like, that was perfect. Like, you got the 2 AoE stuns and the only choke point that you could have possibly controlled Ehome. But now we'll start to see the effect of Ehome's heroes as they bring down the Tier 1 tower. They're also pressuring the top. That's the Queen of Pain who's up there. But CDEC are all over the map. You're playing up against a Nature's Prophet, and there's no real great catch-out for him as well. That's one thing which makes the Prophet even bigger with the farm and levels he's managed to achieve. You don't have a Storm Spirit, you don't have a Clockwork, you don't have these type of heroes that you're going to have to set a trap to find the Nature's Prophet. So if he plays his cards right, he can keep Ehome always guessing if they're going to have a bad trade or not.
Until Quap has an Orchid.
Until Quap has an Orchid.
And
but even then, like you can just go for, I'd say, the Admiral Bulldog build where you get the Blink Dagger, so the second you think Quap's going to arrive, you get yourself out.
He could play split push. He could play a very hard split push build. It doesn't seem like his approach to the game so far, though.
Yeah, well, actually, what was that build? So he's actually going to go for the mech build.
Yeah.
So he's here for the CDEC team fight then.
I like it a lot because CDEC's game plan is revolving around peaking in the mid game, and the mech on Prophet, Leshrac getting a couple of core items, and so is Jug. This time he's adapting differently. This is what we talked about in the last game from Aggressive. In that game, he went Mask of Madness into Battle Fury because he had to farm and try to play for late game.
Yep.
This time they're feeling ahead, and he's going to go for the drum, so he's very effective right now. Drum, 4 points in the spin as well, not maxing out the stats for the farming build, but rather just focusing on having the biggest possible impact in team fights around the 20-minute mark. Mech comes out at 14. I guess Lesh will have his item by now. Nope, not yet. It's got to be a Yule.
It kind of,
he almost has it, 400. That makes for a very easy setup for him onto the Quap.
Ehome's checking for Roshan. I thought like they didn't have enough damage. Like, they don't have enough survivability to do Roshan quick enough before CDEC would realize it. But it is around the right timing that CDEC could just pop in there.
It's a good smoke, I think.
They just don't find anything with it. It was just worth the check, but it's like they're 30 seconds too early if CDEC just rotate themselves down now.
And they didn't dare going upward after checking the Roche Pit because they would run up a choke point against Shaker, Rubik, and Juggernaut and Lash. It could have been disastrous. I think a lot of other teams there would be like, oh, they're not roached, let's try to look for a pick. But in this situation, I think good decision making from Ehome to not try for that. I think that would have gone horribly wrong.
Is this going to be a Vlad's as well for the Nature's Prophet? Like, just start to stack up every single aura that CDEC can get during a team fight, advantage-wise?
It makes him very fragile, but he already has a mech. I wouldn't mind. I think it peaks at the right time, but and a good alternative to it is just going for the standard Necro Book build, which is also very good around the 20 to 25 minutes. So
yeah.
I think Book is better, and then if you really want a Vlad's this game, you could perhaps get it on Jug. I think that trade-off is better, but my opinion,
the
you
only
don't
reason
get
why I
Vlad's
flat, like the Ring of Basilis is a standard item anyway for the Prophet in the early game. But as
CTY is in a really good position if this fight breaks out. They're going to go back, though.
he actually doesn't see anything on the other side of the tree line, though. That's all the dire vision. The second he walks out, that dire observer ward that was left behind by CDEC will see it all. And the Corp's not ready to fight either. But he's going to rush him for the Aghanim Scepter on the Queen of Pain. So it's all about team fight for Ehome.
Yeah, it's a special situation for CTY. I think he, as a player, prefers to go Orchid, or I would guess so. He's a pretty aggressive player, and to me it is the best aggressive item you can get on the hero for solo pickoffs, just in general. Great mana regen so you can farm faster and play aggressively around the enemy jungle.
But with the way Ehome's drafted their lineup, like, it's all about the team fight. It's all about winning that one big fight.
I think it's more the way CDEC have drafted theirs, that they're going to force Ehome into a fight, and he wants to make sure that he can hold the line and buy time with the Sonic Wave and have a really big impact from an AoE standpoint rather than single pickoff. And
Okay.
it's also, I don't know if he saw Lesh's build up early and he sees the Yules come out, because then the Orchid's obviously way less effective against him. But it's still a great item against a hero like Shaker or even Juggernaut in this early game. They could prevent him from using Omnislash. So it has its merits. He gets some tank ability out of it, I guess, is an important thing we shouldn't disregard, as CDEC do have a lot of bursts. Maybe he can stay alive through it, but I don't know if this is an Axe game, to be honest.
CDEC are really trying to force something on this top. Like the smokes which they're expanding to try and find openings aren't really finding anything. And now they're going to venture a long way down. They'll see there's a real nice ancient stack here. But are they going to... They don't even want to try and contest this. Because then it's really too dangerous for them. Then they're in the choke point up against Ehome.
And they don't have good heroes for it either. Juggernaut is not that good at taking ancient stacks.
Yep.
If you have an Empower or something, then sure, but...
Stun into call down. They can follow up with a Hex. That Lashrik's going to hurt here, but they need more from RTK. Vac, Wall, there's that Yule Scepter sending him up and towards the air, trying to buy some time for Lashrike, still walking back out. The Death Ward, it was too much damage, and there's your Sonic Wave kill. Lashrike will end up dropping, and CDEC are getting the hell out of here as quick as they possibly can. Aggressive's already pretty low. Can't run away too quickly because that Shadow Strike is on top of him. Now the Paralyzing Cast into the Finger of Death. Never got the Omni Slash off. And all the rest of the TPs will be happening too. So CDEC get the hell out. They lost 2 players though. And they may lose a 3rd inside the river.
They lost 2.
Garda got an Invis rune, so he's fine.
They lost 2 cores. That's the worst thing. It's not just 2 heroes. It's, I think their 2 highest net worth heroes get killed there. So that's a very big gold swing. 1800 as it seems almost 1900.
It was weird for Lashrik's position at the start. Like, he walked over the cliffside where he had no vision of what was high.
Yeah, that was very weird angle. Lion in the right place at the right time, and he definitely did not see that coming. They did everything they could to save him. They used Healing Ward, they used the mech, good fissure, still wasn't enough.
But that was also the position of Lanham. Like, Lanham was looking for that before on the top line. Like, he's just sitting in the tree line right next to the tower. He's always trying to be in that front position where he can catch someone out, so you don't have the abilities from a Lashrak.
They're going to try to force again. This time there still is a glyph. I imagine Ehome might want to try to hold this if
they've got no Sonic Wave. They've got the cooldown back up again.
Oh, he didn't have Axe yet. That's right. Oh, I was thinking he must have Sonic Wave again really soon, but yeah.
He's still short by 900.
He's fairly low farmed by CTY standards for a 19-minute game.
He's the same as the Lesh.
He did die twice though.
Yeah. Lesh has died 4 times out of, and there's just been 2 deaths too. Like, he got his streak up, but the last impacts he's had is death twice over. But the Prophet's getting more and more space, and it won't be long before he starts picking up Necro Books. Yule Scepter setting up for the stun over on DDC. He already had the Restoration, so he survives a little bit longer. The back into the wall from RTK. It won't hold him there long enough as they just run away. Garda so quick on the move, but the Rocket Barrage will end up killing him off. But they took the Tier 1 tower mid, so Rubik for a Witch Doctor, and you grab the Tier 1, which is more money into that Nature's Prophet.
That's good enough for CDEC in that situation. A little bit of an unfortunate overlap for them, though. They used Telekinesis and then they Yuled. And if Lesh plays that on the telekinesis instead of on the Yule, the kill happens 2 seconds faster, and they might even get out the Rubik. But
is this a Maelstrom going? Like, is this push Prophet with Maelstrom?
if you want it, might just go to bought it now.
Yeah, he would have already got it already, and we're 20 minutes in for a minus on a Prophet. It's a little late for him.
Let's go Armlet.
Armlet Prophet.
It's definitely Milner. Or Maelstrom.
Maelstrom first.
He's not. I don't think he wants to
Yeah,
grade
it
this early. He's going to get it just for the farming and for the split push.
The problem when you go this, like you're wondering if he's going to be too weak before. Like, he's got the mech behind him, but still, there's not a lot of life behind you. 1100 up against what Ehome's throwing at you.
He does have the advantage, though, of if he soaks up a lot of spells, he can buy back teleport.
True.
So he's not your prioritized.
Lanham already with a blink on him. Just jumps in, controls up Garda. The Death Ward will be there. It's only a kill for a Witch Doctor, and it's the first reveal of the Blink Dagger.
But they're still finding what they need on the map, I think. Ehome, considering how the early game was really CDEC favored, I think Ehome have pulled it back nicely. They're going to be farming this Ancient stack now, and they can feel pretty safe about it with Rubik dead. There's not
This will allow him to
CDEC
finish
wants
up
to contest.
the full SNY for Gyro. Once he's got all this cash in.
More than that. He's
Yeah.
going to get SNY plus another 500 or 600, I think. Let's see how much he has. His 2 dragons are going to get like 100 something each.
172.
And
186.
So SNY and 700. That's looking really good here for Yang. He's now more than 1,000 ahead of the Lesh.
Once he's got his BKB, what does CDEC even do against him?
Oh, they still have Omni Slash, but the Prophet's itemization is going to be pretty weak against BKBs. This is where if you have a Necro book, even though the books obviously can't get the mana drain part against the BKB targets, they're still going to deal more damage than a Maelstrom. It is very cost inefficient if you don't get the chain lightnings off. Surprise, surprise. So.
But the Nature's Prophet, like, maybe we look at this from a different angle, where it's purely avoiding the team fights.
Oh, okay.
He actually went a full Manta? What's he trying to break, though? Because there's no early Orchid control from the Prophet. Is he trying to soak up the Omni Knights, the Omni Slash?
It's okay for that. I really don't like Manta on Gyro in general.
They're coming in to check Roshan.
Super underwhelming.
CDEC's not going to jump this, though. Aggressive's making the move, but...
Yeah, that's a very weird Manta pickup. I don't really like it. If he didn't want to upgrade, he had I think for the first time ever you'll hear me say I think Sanjay Yasha was better. But in my opinion, he should have kept the Yasha and go BKB, or he should go Sanjay Yasha. I think BKB would have been the best choice. Personally, it's a little bit too late for my taste for an SNY on Gyro, but he could have definitely got it. Manta on Gyro is just so underwhelming. The illusions aren't that strong. They're mega short range. If he had like an Orchid he was up against or something he wanted to break, then you could argue a lot more for it. But in that case, you could still get a BKB. And I don't know. It can split push a little bit, but just
that seems to be the only reason. Like you're triggering the Manta this early on too.
That was not useful.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might see him make a big play with it. I feel like out of all the agility carries in the game, Gyro has got to be one of the worst to get a Manta on. There are just... I'm trying to think of a worse one, and I can't come up with one right now.
Well, while you think about it and trying to think of something very, very happy...
Oh, I gave up.
just give up straight away. Juggernaut's going to get one as well. But he's quite happy with that. So, Roshan, Ehome's tried to check for it twice, and the one time CDEC do come in for it, Ehome are a little bit too far away, or are they? How quickly can they finish this? The trees are coming out. Roshan's down to 2k of that 10k HP. And RTK looking for the fact, did he get him up on the cliffside? No, he just backs him in. And Prophet, as well as the Shrike, already down for the count. You do have that movement up with the Echo Slam, or is it even an Echo Slam? The Death Waltz from the high ground, and CDEC are completely dead as we see all the abilities which actually were used to kill them, now attacking in. And a triple kill for the Queen of Pain. A Roshan for Ehome, and an Aegis the Immortal into the Queen of Pain as well. Cinderin, give me your precise thoughts in that fight.
That was a great... They won that fight even with cooldowning after it. And the cooldown on their own team with 5. Well, to be honest, it's just... CDEC took a chance. I don't know if they needed to do it here, to be honest. They went for the play. Ehome were ready for it. They moved in at the right time. The Fissure tried to buy enough time. It didn't manage. And Darkseer got into a very good position in the pit. He's one of the best heroes at fighting around the pit. So CDEC losing 5 heroes in a Roche when they could have just chosen not to go for it. I think it's a little cocky from them not to try a gank first. If they could have killed a hero with Omni Slash, then they get the Roche more or less for free. But they tried, it didn't work. Now they're really on the back foot.
Yeah. Now.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, that's like climbing the Himalayas is difficult, and CDEC are going to start running out of air very, very soon. They need to try and fix this up somehow. You got a PKB over on the co-op with the Ags. Like, they've got no control, and their damage isn't high enough. Like, the Juggernaut doesn't feel like he's a threat anymore. I can almost feel like this Nature's Prophet is the only saving grace for CDEC. He has to be able to keep these side lanes pushed out and make sure that Ehome waste their time with the Aegis worrying about their side lanes, never being able to say, we can go through tier 2s, we can now push into the tier 3 and take base. Stall this game up as long as you possibly can, and then hope Leshrac and Juggernaut together can find enough damage to rip apart Ehome. That's the only way I see this really happening. The Echo Slam with a blink in from the Earthshaker, he's not at blink yet, but if he can get that, then you've also got potential initiation in from CDEC. And Garda's a great control, great abilities for him. They've still got many ways they can win this game, but they have to slow down Ehome.
It's gonna be difficult though with who can solo Prophet right now for Ehome? I guess no one, but any 2 heroes together.
If Quap had an Orchid, it would be possible.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
But it's not gonna be long. Like if Prophet does go for either Manta or BKB, then I'll still also be very concerned because then he can't do a split push.
Yeah, the issue here is if he split pushes, any duo of Ehome heroes can kill him off, as Lesh is going to get caught here in the bottom lane.
Actually,
CTY showing off his BKB. They also got the Prophet, and they're going to get Garter.
Wow, okay.
This is very quickly getting completely out of control for CDEC. They lost their way in the game.
I think they've lost their way in this entire series. The first one just seemed a little bit rough, and things were okay in this series until that Roche fight. When they thought they could snipe it out, and it really looked like Ehome was going to get there late, but you see the effect of the Darkseer when you got such a narrow choke point, or at least we would have. And then when you had a cooldown on top of it, like, it's so much AoE control. This is what Ehome drafted for. And I kind of said it during the drafting phase, one fight wins this for Ehome, or potentially makes a comeback for Ehome.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what ended up happening to CDEC, and they lose all momentum. And look at the Jaro card. The Jaro is rich as hell. Is that actually... Wait, was that his... Is he building a Scythe?
Lincoln's?
Is it a Lincoln Sphere?
No, it's CTY's.
It's CTY's, okay. Because I'm just seeing this ultimate orb on him after picking up Manta Style.
He's going to go Scotty. That's a good item
Okay.
in Darrow. Or he gets 2 Mantas for style points. But that seems unlikely.
That's the wrong type of style, Sins.
But yeah, just that... We're going to keep coming back to that Roche fight, right? Because it's what decided this game if it turns out CDEC lose it, which at this point in time, it definitely does not look good for them.
Yeah.
Ehome's lineup is god tier at fighting in a narrow spot. They have Vacuum, Call Down, Sonic Wave, and even the Earth Spike, which isn't too difficult to land on 2 or 3 heroes in the Roche Pit. So when you make this play as CDEC, you better either have really good vision or get a gank first. And I felt like they had neither. So ultimately they took a chance that they knew was a really high-risk play. And there are times when you go for high-risk plays. You go for a high-risk play if you have no other choice. If you can tell the game is getting out of hand, it's what you do. But they did all right the early game. I don't think they needed to take a chance like that. And like you said, they got a really good Vacuum. I think they got a decent wall, Call Down, Sonic Wave. The whole package just got dropped on them. And if that happens, they have no response. They are super good at skirmishes, though. Their lineup is great for just picking off targets and playing around with the Prophet like they did early. But when it comes to these organized team fights, they're
changing it up now. They're changing to a farm build as we just had script flagging. That Juggernaut's now going in for the Battle Fury. So he's just looking to farm and push as quick as he possibly can, and TP back when the fight's going to begin. There's no point defending for the tier 2 tower on that top lane. Yay! It's all about going in for like high ground defense, and that's it. Maybe you can have enough money that your buybacks are capable of defending, and that's all.
Gold was flying from the sky.
It's
falling.
Okay, yeah. So we'll probably just DC out and reconnect back in again, and pray. I'm sorry. Obviously, we needed a better quality of string to connect to the servers. We failed us.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Sin.
Should have got a better line. It's all on us. Well, it sucks actually that that there are
It
these
really
server issues. But of course, when it's being streamed out from China and we have these
Yeah.
the routing issues, there's nothing to do about it from our end, which it sucks. Like we would love to fix this, of course, but we
Yeah.
can't really do anything.
Yeah,
We're at the mercy of the server. Sometimes you get dealt a good hand, sometimes you don't. And
We've
this
had,
was
we've
not
had,
a
a,
good
we've
one.
had a fairly decent hand throughout the group stages, though.
Oh yeah, it's in the past. It's been a lot worse than this.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we come back in, and all of a sudden, magic has been done.
oh, this is looking pretty good for now.
Yeah, we're actually moving forward, and not laggy. Wonderful. But, damn, that's... You got a Blink Dagger and RTK as well as Lanham. I don't know how CDEC's meant to get a better positioning during their team fight. Like, what Prof is doing right now is... it still feels like... I kind of want to refer to the Admiral Bulldog Prophet with the Blink Dagger as well as the Maelstrom, where you come in, you summon some trees, you push the waivers until you feel slightly comfortable, and then blink back into some tree which is protecting you, and TP to a different lane, do the same again. Even if you have to jump into a tree line halfway down your lane, summon the trees, and the creep wave's already the full way down your lane, and just let them push for like 10, 15 seconds, that's still worth it as long as you stay alive.
Yeah, they have to cut waves. I agree.
Yeah.
With the Prophet, just do your best to get a push out.
Yeah.
Even if you need to play super safe, it's better than trying to farm your jungle. Because
Yes.
you're not going to have your jungle right now. Right now, he's
Who's
got
the
information.
Yeah, it's an ancient stack right now with aggressive trying to take
Aggressive
it
got
from Ehome. He can actually solo RTK because he's got a level 2. It looks like the Sonic Wave. They're going to take out the Lashrak who was inside the Dire jungle, but that battle is still like going to and fro back in the mid. It's just going to be a TP out. But you've just lost a huge source of damage. And what did you get in return? You got a Battle Fury for the Jugger.
Yeah. RTK has got a Shiva's Guard as well. It's going to be very, very useful from the Darkseer. Because the way it looks right now in these fights... Oh, wow.
We're gonna watch-
All right, Lanham.
We've got to watch the buybacks. We've
Wow.
really got to watch the buybacks right now from CDEC. And yeah, Earthshaker's the only one with it. And he's got... Maybe he can sell some stuff and get that Blink Dagger. I don't think he's at that point just yet. But he might have enough cash. He'd have to sell what his Arcane Boost to get the Blink Dagger. It might be worth it.
Yeah. I think so, too. You're not getting a second chance if you give it these barracks away.
Yep. Well, there's your little lightning proc, but that's not saving it. The tier 3 tower's already gone. That melee rank's down to a quarter of its life, and you got nothing else. Lashrak spawns up in 1 second time, and the Juggernaut moves in. They got the Sprout to pick up. It's going to be the throwback over on CTY into the Death Ward, the back of the wall, and the huge damage! That hurts! The flight cannon was on. I just think CDEC have just been knocked out. Yeah, they have. It is GG. CDEC will drop to the lower bracket final, and Ehome will be attending TI. In what capacity, we'll find out tomorrow, but that was a 2-0 convincing win for Ehome at the end. At the end, CDEC still looked like they had some kind of flair at the start of game 2.
Yeah, they got outclassed today. That's 100% sure.
Let's watch that again.
This is pretty scary.
It's the damage which comes at this point. You throw down the cooldown, and when the VAC, the jump in from ROTK, pulls him into the second missile with the Sonic Wave.
The wall didn't even hit. Like, if that wall would have hit, that would have looked so much more impressive. But still, he got a 4-man vacuum into a Sonic Wave. He didn't need it, right? But definitely RTK today, a lot better than we've seen earlier in the tournament. It looks like he's warmed up. He had the one death on Darkseer. I do believe it was the first blood.
Yeah, that's the first
His
blood
only
top.
death of the game. He goes 4-1 and 12. He gets the farm he needs. He makes the right call of rotating into the jungle. He gets active early on. They make use of the Iron Shell. He gets some decent vacuums. Goes for the ideal item build, I would say. He went Soul Ring, Mech, Blink, and then into Shivas. I think exactly what he needs to build in this game. And yeah, they surprisingly, in a way, it feels like Lion was the least impactful here in this game. It's not often you can say that about Lanham, but it's really good for the team that if Lanham doesn't have a good game, that RTK can step up, for example. Because it's been a problem in the past that if the support duo of Ehome doesn't perform on like a very, very high level, that they couldn't win games. But
well, let's get the thoughts of the other boys
problem.
as well.
Yep.
Before you take them all.
So, I mean,
sorry, guy.
it's okay, man. You casted the game. It's fine. Ehome, they started off really strong. Or, excuse me, CDEC started off really strong in this game. Right, they picked the Nature's Prophet, which I thought was a tiny bit greedy. I think everyone else kind of agreed. You know, they already had Rubik, they had Shaker. They go Nature's Prophet, and then for some reason, XC, at like 8 or 9 minutes in, he's involved in almost all their team's kills. They've killed multiple heroes, including CTY mid on the Queen of Pain when they were chasing that really weird rune skirmish fight bottom. And he had 1 CS. I just thought that was funny. But, I mean, in general, I thought that Prophet got way more than I was even expecting him to get. And during the mid game, it just didn't matter. Ehome's team was so much stronger. Like Queen, Gyro, Darkseer together. That combination of itself is just nuts.
Would you put it down to the build, though, of the Prophet, or was it just, like...
No, I actually think Mech was okay. Maybe if he had gone Orchid, they could have had more gank potential on like perhaps CTY or even RTK, like keep the cores down maybe a tiny bit more. To me, it felt like the Juggernaut just really didn't do much of anything. Like he TP'd bottom very early into the game when they were taking this fight around the tower, and he like Omni-slashed in and then had no mana for spin. He was just kind of there, you know.
He killed a Lion at that point, but it's like they TP'd in 3 or 4 heroes just to kill a Lion.
Yeah.
While the gyrocopter escaped. It just felt like CDEC were kind of being toyed around with at some points.
Yeah. I never really thought past... As soon as the Roshan fight happened, of course, everyone's like, okay, well, that's pretty much just game. Because their team was so greedy that they just couldn't fight against the 5-man of Ehome.
And again, they first phase pick the Shaker. Once again, seems like he has pretty much no impact in the game. He goes 0-1 and 3. There were a couple of fissures that set up a kill here or there, but I don't know if... I don't think it's the hero. I just think they overrate it for themselves. I have not been impressed with their Shaker play today. And in previous series, I don't feel like the hero in its current state... It's not a first phase pick unless you're really, really good with it. And, well, maybe they just got outplayed. Maybe they are really good with it, and today they just didn't perform. But I want to say I feel like it was a wasted pick in both games.
It's definitely a hero that I feel like you can't just look at his scorelines because it's such a like. When you're losing, Shaker is always like you're losing games in 25, 30 minutes. Shaker is always going to have scorelines like this. So it's more. But was there a better pick?
It wasn't just like it's not just the numbers, just the overall feel of the game. He didn't really bring much to the table. You're seeing like we talked about how great it is that Prophet can make this chaotic early game. Imagine if you have a support that can take advantage of that. The Shaker, if Shaker was another early aggressive support, or maybe they had a jungler or they wanted to push stuff like that. If you run this kind of a lineup in, let's say you have Jugger and Prophet, what works really well with that? You get early chaos. You need something to take towers. If they had something like a Chen, maybe, or I don't know if CDEC even plays that, but the Chinese teams seem to not really favor their junglers, and I think there's a lot of times you can really get away with it. In a game like this, the dual support from Ehome is a Lion Witch Doctor. They didn't know it at the time, but they could have fifth picked a jungler and probably got away with it. I don't know. This Shaker pick for me is... And they also showed their hand. That's another thing. They picked Rubik Shaker first. You know what 2 supports there are, unless, like you said, it's a core Shaker, but that's very unusual to run these days, I would say. A few teams try it from time to time, but Ehome were just a step ahead all the time, apart from that little bit of early game chaos that maybe they could have built some more on with a little bit of a different lineup or better play from Juggernaut, like Draskell said.
And that was where Ehome just looked a bit more polished and just they didn't feel pressured at all. Like they had that slow, bad kind of start to the game, but they just knew in the mid game they had the far superior team fight with the Darkseer, Queen of Pain, Gyrocopter. There was nothing that CDEC had that could match up to that.
Yeah, I think in some regards, though, like you mentioned the Shaker being kind of a liability for the team. I do agree, but I don't know if this game it was in the sense of the hero itself much more than Q's overall play. So like the first kill they got on RTK was really nicely executed, and then the second one he missed a fissure that, like you said, didn't even have to land. Like he just needed to make sure that RTK didn't run away. And then middle, another big team fight that I think that turned the game in favor of Ehome was when they were pushing the tier 1. And Shiki was standing on the far left side by the hill, and he got hexed and stunned by Lanham into a call down. And then all of a sudden they have to run. And then Q blocks aggressive with a fissure inside of the trees, and he also dies because of that. I mean, you can't have those plays, and I mean, 100% blame the hero, I feel.
No, that's what I was saying. If you pick it that early, you really need, like you're picking this over a lot of really strong heroes that you can pick in the first phase. You have to deliver.
Yeah.
And for this, in my opinion, for Shaker to be a first phase pick, you need to have really good players. God says Garter it's his trademark here. In this game, he doesn't even play it.
Yeah.
He's playing Rubik this time. I don't know if Q doesn't play that hero or if he lost confidence in his own Shaker play. But
I feel like the game was going okay for
mistakes.
Yeah, the key mistakes. I think the game was going okay for CDEC though. It was really that fight there where they died. The Leshrac. There was a couple fights in a row where Leshrac and Jug died. First at the secret shop, and then at that mid tier 1 tower. The mid tier 1 tower, if you're going to blame anyone, it's the Leshrac's fault. Yeah, the Earthshaker fissure blocked the Jug, and that was a big misplay. But they were in a defensive lost team fight because Leshrac went off into the middle of nowhere right by the cliff and kind of got completely caught out. When they smoked into each other, that was just, I mean, they got kind of outclassed in the team fight because RTK zoned everyone out with the wall. So I think CDEC had their openings into this game. They just didn't quite execute as well as they needed to.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well.
All right, well, let's look ahead. Hopefully, production guys are ready with the grid so we can see what else is going to be coming up today. Because we have gone through the winners bracket final. The lower bracket final is what's coming up next. In fact, we just look at the schedule. So next up is the Energy Pacemakers going up against Wings Gaming, and that is our lower bracket final. And then the Americas get to begin a little bit later on today, of course, though. But EP versus Wings coming up next. Just before we wrap up for here, what do we think is going to be the result of this? Or is it a massive question mark?
I'm pretty much still thinking Wings. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. Everyone was kind of on the same page. I think they've had more overall solid play. Maybe a tiny bit of choking going on yesterday against CDEC, but I think today they'll bring it.
I think it's more likely to be a 3-game series, though, looking at Energy Pacemaker and the way they play really aggressive in the early game. This patch seems to suit their team and their play style, so I could definitely see them taking a game. I think it's much more even between the two, like maybe 60-40 rather than Ehome versus CDEC. I feel Ehome, at least overall in the playoffs, are heavy favorites, despite CDEC and their undefeated run.
Okay.
I think, was it Wings yesterday that ran Rubik, Lina, roaming duo, and they actually pulled it off?
Yeah, I think
most teams in this tournament, when they try early aggression, it doesn't really work that well, but they destroyed a Drow lineup. I think it was like a complete beatdown. I believe the game was like 14-1 or something. So if they can play like that against EP, which is a team that focuses a lot on really solid lane play, if they get roamed out, the game is like almost over already then, because EP's mid game is not that good. And I have a feeling that these games are going to be fairly short. If one team gets ahead, they don't lose this game. And I could honestly see it being either Wings pull out that really early aggression in the roaming and they succeed and they destroy them, or if it fails, they lose all 3 lanes and then they lose on that. Because EP's laning play is really good.
Yeah,
so
they've always been winning
matchup.
the CS. Like, if you actually look back at any game from the group stages for EP, they were always ahead in CS. Even if they were losing lives on the lanes, they were always having something out of all 3 of their cores on the lanes. So that's what I would look at for it. But either way, we get to wrap this one up. We're going to play musical chairs, as well as a couple of musical faces, as we'll be coming back with a different crew for the next game, which is your lower bracket final or round 1 final. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back. They get the one back. Now maybe DDC. He will go down, so Split Earth is able to connect, and they're going in even further here, Shikik, with that Edict going after Lanham, and he's got enough, the stun, and TP up. Prophet comes in to just leech a little bit the experience out of this one. The scream's there, and he just survives. Smoke's going to break Lanham. Could get the double stun, but he gets picked up first by Gata. The cooldown's on the way, and the Darkseer wall's there too. Trying to back Shiki back into it, in with the Death Ward, but there's so much damage arriving from Aggressive, but is it going to be enough? The Death Ward rips through him. They lose their 2 big cores for the price of a Lion. Come in for an Ehome a little bit too far away, or are they? How quickly can they finish this? The trees are coming out. Roshan's down to 2k of that 10k HP. And RTK looking for the fact, did he get him up on the cliffside? No, he just backs him in. And Prophet, as well as the Shrike, already down for the count. You do have that movement up with the Echo Slam, or is it even an Echo Slam? The Death Ward's from the high ground, and CDEC are completely dead as we see all the abilities which actually were used to kill them, now attacking in. And a triple kill for the Queen of Pain.
I think so too. You're not getting a second chance if you give these barracks away.
Yep. Well, there's your little lightning proc, but that's not saving it. The tier 3 tower's already gone. That melee rank's down to a quarter of his life, and you got nothing else. The Shrike spawns up in 1 second time, and the Juggernaut moves in. They got the Sprout to pick up. It's going to be the throw back over on CTY into the Death Ward. The back of the